Hello, and welcome to Brettcast Gaming Talk. So I'm going to just start this by telling you that today I am discussing VR and why I think that VR isn't quite there yet. So I'm sure you are all familiar with what VR is, but for those of you who don't know, it's virtual reality. So what do I mean when I say it's not there yet? I mean it's not quite at the point that it's something that can replace the way people entertain themselves. So let's get into this. I'd like everyone to note that when I was getting into the pricing of VR headsets, I'm going by the Amazon listing of these items. So let's start with the technology itself and how it is used. So you have to strap this crazy huge headset and grab some motion controls and go to a decent enough space to have room to move around. The hardware is big and bulky and doesn't really look that great. I cannot say how much it weighs on one's head since I've never actually used one. It's kind of the first point is that once you put one on, you don't know what's going on around you or what's even around you, and this can be pretty damn funny and is ultimately a very dangerous thing. Then you have to use motion controls that have a limited sensory range, so you could be in the middle of some really important thing in a game and walk out of the sensory range and then game over. Then we come to the cost of the devices and the cost to run one. The Oculus Rift, which is undoubtedly the current best VR hardware on the market from what I've seen, costs a whopping $399.99. I found an article on the website logicalincrements.com. They had a bunch of VR ready PC builds on it and lists the price of each. The official Oculus Rift build specs cost about $800 for the computer. Hardcore VR costs $1,600, Extreme VR costs $2,900, and the No Compromises VR costs $5,300. So, whatever way you see it, having a decent PC to even think of running a VR system costs more than the actual hardware. Now, I know you're telling me that the Rift is not the only VR hardware out there. You're correct. There's also the HTC Vive, and you'd be pleased to know that it costs $599.99. That's $200 more than the Rift costs. Then we have the sensor thing. This is where I think the hardware not being there yet really shows much. For both headsets, you have to have 3 to 4 sensors, each of which costs around $80 just to be able to stand up and look behind yourself. I'm sorry, but no, that's just crazy. Add the amount of money you have to invest in all this, and it's like you better rob a bank if you want to get into a good quality VR setup. Yes, the console world even has its own thing too with PlayStation VR as of now. The headset itself costs $255.99. So that with the PS4 costs $285, which is a whopping total of $540.99 just for the hardware to have the complete PSVR experience. I've not forgotten about the, shall we loosely call it, cheaper options to the Rift and Vive. You have the Samsung Gear VR and it costs $118.99. Now the problem is that it's a headset built for a smartphone, a device that already doesn't have great battery life. Plus there are far less interesting software options for VR use on a phone than on PC. If all you want to do is play Fallout 4 in VR, then go rob a bank and get yourself a good setup. For as long as we've had smartphones, no one has been able to create a gaming experience that can match that of PC and consoles. Smartphones just are not built to handle more graphically and power demanding games that you can play on PC and consoles. The biggest problem now with how VR is now, in my opinion, is that it's basically just strapping a screen on your face. That's pretty much all this $600 hardware does. And this is why I am using this to lead into the next section, and that's the games/software and the way things look. So as I said, VR is just like slapping a screen on your face. This kind of thing really affects what happens in the games. Now, pushing aside all those shooters where you literally stand in one place and shoot waves of enemies, also known as wave-based combat, problem I see with the games where you have to move around a lot. See, games like Fallout 4, you can just play with the normal dual analog controller that are very common, but I have seen other games where you have to like select where you want to move and then it teleports you there. That just seems really, really bad. I think it's more of a temporary solution to something that may never become a thing if VR continues without making any real growth in technology. Someday in the future, they need to have full body sensory technology. I don't know how to make it happen, but that's what people need. Or you could have that one walking type of thing that Virtue Exomni to be able to get the full VR experience. Then there is the thing where you can just see floating hands on the screen and like that's really terrible looking. Make some kind of character model for the player in VR games. Come on. Then there's the idea of watching movies, TV shows, and even anime on these things that, if you ask me, sounds really unpleasant all the way around. Like, why would I want to put on a big bulky headset just to watch stuff that would look better on a normal PC monitor or TV? This is something I really don't think will last in the VR realm. I also don't think that what they're dubbing as Vivecraft, which is Minecraft in VR, but only for the HTC Vive, will be a big seller and somehow be able to save VR. I'm saying that VR is still in its infancy here, and that it seems really stupid to pour a bunch of money into something that still, in my opinion, has a long way to go. Who knows, maybe augmented reality will be better. Hey, Microsoft, where's my HoloLens? Anyway, that's all I have to say, so if you want to add to the conversation, leave a comment below. As always, thanks for listening, and goodbye.